man is back.
Oh, okay, boys. Oh my gosh, the ring got messed up. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have the leopard.
This is your boy.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash to try and find out. Back at it with another Pokemon Unite commentary video, and this is an interesting one right here. So, a lot of news broke within the past few days, and I'm going to be doing 3 videos on the same night. So this is the first of 3, but you're going to see the other 2 over the next 2 weeks because a lot of news broke, and it is crazy. It's really, really crazy. So I want to start off with the whole Jon Gruden situation. So we all know, if you're in the sports world, you know what happened. Jon Gruden, quote unquote, resigned as the head coach of the Raiders. I think, what are they? The Las Vegas Raiders? Yes, the Las Vegas Raiders. So, and here's the crazy thing. This all got started because the NFL were investigating the issue involving another team. The Washington football team, once used to be called the Washington Redskins. So, how did an investigation on one team led to the head coach of another team getting fired? Well, here's what happened. So, we gotta talk about what happened with the Washington football team. So, what happened was we're gonna talk about the results of that in a second because that was utter BS in my opinion. So, 15 former female employees and 2 journalists who covered the team accused team staffers of sexual harassment and verbal abuse. So that investigation was kicked off last July 2020, and the NFL took like all of August to do their investigation. So what happened? What was the result of that investigation? Well, even though Dan Snyder owned the team at the time, and he's a billionaire, I think he got about like over $4 billion. The league, Roger Goodell, the commissioner, fined the Washington Football League only $10 million. $10 million to us, yeah, that's a lot of money. But to Dan Snyder, who have over $4 billion, yeah, that's pocket change. And he's basically no longer owns the team, but his wife owns the team. So, I mean, yeah, what is the punishment? And then the funny thing is, when the investigator was going on, actually, it was Dan Snyder who hired his lawyers to investigate. And the league allowed it at first. I mean, come on now. This is that's just like red flags all over the place. So what does all of this have to do with Jon Gruden, who is the head coach of another team in another conference, no less? Well, here's what happened. During that investigation, they discovered emails that were sent to Jon Gruden. They went back and forth from 2010 all the way up to 2018. And within those emails, over that span, now at that point in time, Gruden was not in the league. He was not a head coach. He did not work for the league. He was working for ESPN doing Monday Night Football. So in those emails, he basically was being racist. He was being sexist. He was being a homophobe. And he was being transphobic. He was using all type of languages. So in terms of the racist part, we have to look at, who is this dude named DeMaurice Smith, who is the executive director for the Players Association. And what did he say about this guy? He basically said this dude had some, what was the phrase? Tired lips? So I believe that was the phrase. So yeah, and actually in the chain, and I'm quoting here, DeMaurice Smith has lips the size of Michelin tires. So for those of you who don't know, it is like obvious, like black people, and especially black men, like have big lips, like in comparison to everybody else. Like that is true. That is true. So that's kind of like a racial like a racial viewpoint, like a racial tone, I guess. But yeah, now there's nothing there about the N word or anything like that. But yeah, he basically called this dude dumb, and basically say like, "Yo, he got some rubber lips." I saw that in another report as well. But he said he got the size of Michelin tires. His lips are the size of Michelin tires, which is crazy. So we're not done there, and then we get on to some other reports. So basically, he called Roger Goodell, rather, the commissioner, a faggot and a clueless anti-football pussy. He also used homo slurs to describe he's not an owner, but to describe NFL owners, other coaches, and reporters who cover the league. Now, keep in mind, there are gay players in the league. Ironically enough, one of them played on his team. And he was saying that gays should not be allowed in the league. He also said that women should not be referees, and that players should not be complaining or protesting in regards to their own safety, even though these players are the ones going out there and putting their bodies on the line to play football and things of that nature. So basically, he said a lot of stuff in his emails. Oh, yeah, don't stop there. And then because of the fact that the Washington Football League were being investigated for sexual harassment and stuff like that, what ended up happening was pictures of women in bikinis or whatever the case may be was shared back and forth. So this did not look good. And he also reported, it was reported that he denounced the league for attempting to reduce concussions, adding that Eric Reed, who demonstrated during the playing of the national anthem as a form of protest against police brutality, should be fired. So a lot of interesting stuff right there. And back in 2015, Gruden condemned a congressional bill that attempted to force Washington to change his name from the Redskins, and yeah, there was a story out there about that as well, which many Native Americans view as a slur. Gruden received a leak also that year detailing how players wanted Goodell to support them in efforts to promote racial equality and criminal justice reform. And he said he needs to hide in his concussive protocol tent. So there's a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, here we go. Michael Sampson. This is interesting thing. So Gruden criticized Goodell for pressuring former St. Louis Rams coach Jeff Fisher to draft queers. That was the exact wording that he used, and that was a reference to Michael Sam, who came out as gay ahead of the 2014 NFL draft and was selected with the Rams' second to last pick in the 7th round. And then we talked about Demarius Smith saying that he lives for the size of the Michelin tires. And it's a lot happened. A lot has happened there. So, because of that, on Monday, the owner of the team walked in and said, like, yo, basically, we don't know what was said, but he had a talk with Gruden, and then Gruden basically said he was resigning. Now, we all know this ain't really true, because he had a lot of money that he was getting paid. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Because he was offered a big contract to coach this team for like 6 years, whatever the case may be. He was offered a lot of money. And it makes no sense to me that he would just walk out and leave that money. So in my opinion, I think he was fired. Like, real talk. I think he was legit fired. So my thoughts on this is, first of all, Jon Gruden is arguably the worst human being alive right now. Because it's one thing if part of this was done like over a span of one night, over a span of a week, maybe over a span of 1 year. But the problem is a guy who is at that age, he's got like late 40s in his 50s or something like that. And he's been doing this for 7 to 8 years, really 8 to 9 years, really. Like, yeah, there's no, he's going to change his race. No, he's way too old to do that. I doubt he's going to change his race. That's right. And he tried to hide it, apparently, because again, this all went down during his time at ESPN. And he hid it because obviously Stephen A. Smith, who is black, talked to him, a few times, and there was no hints of racism or anything like that. But he hid that joint. He straight up hid that joint. And I want to bring something else up as well. So a while back, I did that story about Rachel Nichols, about how, like, she basically called out ESPN for trying to, quote unquote, tailored towards black people doing the Black Lives Matter, or their black employees doing the Black Lives Matter thing. And she was basically, remember says it correctly, I could be wrong with this. She was basically saying, without saying it, but she was basically saying that ESPN really don't care about black people like that. And here we have an example of a guy who worked for ESPN, and during that time sending these emails. Now, this was talked about on the show First Take, saying like, yo, if ESPN knew this was going on, they would have got rid of Jon Gruden on the spot immediately. They would have got rid of him, but they had no clue. So, well, it's not enough to say ESPN is racist, but it is something to pay attention to. You can't ignore it. You can't disregard it. This is the second incident involving race that happened under ESPN. So you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. So in regards to the whole Washington football team, again, they need to like redo those punishments. They should have been fined $1 billion, and the Snyder family should have no control over that team. And they need to get a mascot, because for the second straight year, they're on call the Washington football team. And I'm like, okay, y'all need a name. Like, y'all need a name. The Washington football team, that is crappy. That is garbage. Y'all need a name. So, but it also proves that really the NFL, even though 75% of the players are black, if you go above that, because obviously the players are superstars. We know who they are: the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers, some defensive players, and things of that nature. But if you look above that, like in the coaches area, it's getting better. Because look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? The coaching staff, they only got one. Well, unless they change some stuff around, I don't think so. But when they won the Super Bowl, they only had one white guy a part of that coaching staff, and that was the head coach. Everybody else, black or women, they were not right. And he called them out in the good way, saying like, "Yo," and this coach said he didn't do a damn thing when they won the Super Bowl. He said he basically praising the coaching staff, who again were black and women. It was not right. Were not right men, rather. He was the only one. He said he didn't do a damn thing. So I'm like, yo, kudos to the Tampa Bay head coach for that. We also, if we go above that, like there's some black coaches in the league. Not enough, not a lot, but there's some black coaches, head coaches that is, in the league. But again, it's not a lot. They got this Ronnie rule, which is total BS. And that needs to be changed, because again, there's not a lot of black coaches in the league. And there's only 2 general managers in the league who are black. One of them is coaching Cleveland, and I wish he wasn't coaching there, even though Cleveland, yeah, they are considered a Super Bowl contender. They are considered an elite team, but it's Cleveland. Y'all know how I feel about Cleveland. As a city, y'all know how I feel about Ohio as a state. That's a Michigan-Ohio State rivalry thing. So they got a black GM in Cleveland, and they got another black GM. I forgot where. I think it's Miami. If memory serves it correctly. I don't remember. But there's only 2. And I feel like that's a bit too low as well. And then if you go above that, look at the owners. No, there's no black dudes. There's no black owners. Jay-Z tried to be an owner, but you think the league want black owners? No, because they want that whole slave mentality to one ownership of all these teams. And that's what's currently going on. So it's not a good look for the league. And they trying to coach or trying to praise diversity and say Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. And it's like, incidents like this, nah, y'all ain't preaching that. We ain't believing y'all. Y'all got a lot of work to do. And Jon Gruden is, and the Washington football team are prime examples of that. Y'all got a lot of work to do. And I'm gonna call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is boy New J Gatsby, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.